welcome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this moon meditation, this time for the full moon in Sagittarius. We are doing this meditation a little bit earlier on the Sunday preceding the moon. The moon is in a few days, on the 11th, on the Wednesday. And before I go into the details of this moon, what it means, what it's bringing, what it's confirming, and what it's opening, I want to do a little bit more of housekeeping, just to make sure that you follow up with these meetings that are going to be every other week. So from now on, they will be happening on Sundays at 7:30 European time. And you can check for you what that means. If you take Spain time or Paris time, that would be 7:30. The idea was to create a pace where we meet at a really paced, on a paced timeline, where we know that every Sunday we get together to explore what the stars have for us. And not only it's a way to get into the rhythm of the moon, but to anchor that in our bodies by having an actual regular rhythm that is also easier to fit into our calendars. But it's also a way to get the information a little bit before the moon, so that whoever wants to prepare in their own way, they can prepare, they can just do what they need to do. As usual, whenever I feel there's a preparation or a ritual or whatever additional practice that we can add to this meditation, of course, I will let you know. But sometimes you might want to do your own thing, and that leaves enough time for you to create your own practice between the moment you get the information and the moment the moon arrives. If you've signed up for the moon meditations, you will receive the link directly in your inbox. I will see how I can implement a button where you can just add that to your calendar and forget about it. And usually you receive an email a week before, then a day before, and an hour before, just to make sure you have it in there. If you haven't signed up yet, then I'll just put the link under the video for you to find the link and just sign up and receive everything automatically. Also, I wanted to say that I chose the Sunday. I could have chosen the Monday, which is the moon day. But I chose the Sunday for two reasons. First of all, the sun is the one that is reflecting its light through the moon. No, that sentence is not correct. The moon is reflecting the light of the sun. That's how we know whether it's full or not, or new. So I thought it would be nice to recognize that dance between the sun and the moon by having our meditation on Sundays. And also, it's very for practical reasons, because many of us are spread all across the globe. It might be easier for some of you to attend live if we do it on Sunday. So that's why it's on Sunday also. That's that for this part. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is this summer, I'm hosting a retreat in the desert during the days out of time. That's at the end of July, beginning of August, where the main purpose is to redefine, recalibrate the elements within us and bring that information, embody it, and deliver it to the humanity grid, or the global grid, for everyone to receive that new definition of the elements. We will be traveling through the Anti-Atlas to reach the Sahara Desert. This is where we're going to be based during the actual 5 days out of time, 1 day per element. And then we finish by anchoring the information in the Orion portal, traveling again through the anti-atlas into another part of the desert. That too, you can check on my website. I'll put the information in the description. And yeah, that's it for the housekeeping. Before we start with the moon, if you can, grab a pen and paper, because you might want to take some quick notes when we finish the meditation today. So it's better if you have that next to you. And also have a glass of water next to you, or a bottle of water, or whatever is easier for you, but some water next to you that can anchor the frequencies that we're going to be working with. So take a minute to do that, and we'll start right after that. Okay. That reminds me that I wanted to light up a candle for our meditation. Very good. Okay, let's start. So, this moon is a full moon in Sagittarius. It is happening on June 11th in the morning, in universal time around like Europe. So it's 7:43 a.m. universal time, 8:43 in my time zone, which is Casablanca, Morocco. And it is happening at 20 degrees 39 of Sagittarius. So the moon is in Gemini at the moment, and it's shining its light on the moon that is transiting through Sagittarius. This is the third of the most important moons of the year. The first being during Easter, the full moon that happens during the month of Aries. The second is Wesak, which happened a month ago when the sun is in Taurus. And the third one is this one, which happens when the sun is in Gemini. And it's also called the Festival of Humanity, or the Festival of Christ. And interestingly enough, today is the Pentecost, which is a Christian celebration, or let's say a biblical celebration rather, which also falls on the weekend of a Muslim celebration. All of these three traditions celebrating the connection with the spirit in a very strong way. But let's take one of the interpretations, which is the Festival of Christ, the Festival of Humanity, according to Alice Bailey and Elena Blavatsky in the Theosophy tradition. What this festival, what this moon celebrates, is the potential of humanity to unify personal will and divine will. And you will recognize a theme that we've been working on for at least 2 or 3 moons right now. In the same way that you would recognize that the themes that we work with, they appear gradually in the stars or in the readings that I share here. They start and then they keep amplifying until they reach culmination. And I really believe that today, for this full moon rather, we are reaching the culmination in that message or invitation to unify our will with divine will. And we'll see what other keys are being delivered to us today with regards to that. So according to the tradition of Theosophy, Christ stands before God in the name of humanity, asking for more light, more love for all of us, for all his brothers, for the entire humanity. And in response, we all experience a lift of our consciousness, establishing a culture of goodwill and right relationship with each other and with nature, which is absolutely beautiful, and which is what we are working towards, all of us that are here, I believe. So that kind of sets the scene of what this moon is about. And for example, for Pentecost this Sunday, it's the what is celebrated is the descent of the spirit within after Easter, 50 days after Easter, and over the 12 disciples of Jesus, which are 12 aspects of us, which is one aspect one concept we're gonna be working with today. So the descent of the spirit is what grants us the inspiration to be ourselves and to um, radiate what we are, so that it lights up our path and potentially illuminate others, give light to others. So yeah, that's let's say the tone of this moon. But now let's go into the details and analyze exactly what is happening with this moon. What are the concepts that are involved in the energies, the more detailed messages that we get from these energies. And let's start with the archetype of Sagittarius, where the moon is during this full moon. It's a fire sign, as you might remember, and it's the spiritual aspect of the Trinity of Fire, starting in Aries, then Leo, and ending with the spirit in Sagittarius. The mantra of Sagittarius is I see, so it's about vision. Its attributes are expansion. It deals with the philosophy that supports our life. It can be related to religion, to temples. It's about learning through our experiences. It's very related to the path, Sagittarius. Although it holds an element of vision, it's mostly attached to the path rather than the destination. It's the sign of travel that can be symbolized by the arrow that the Sagittarius is shooting in the air. It's the sign that is very connected to spirituality and the knowledge that we acquire that gives meaning to our lives. The Sagittarius is related to the 9th house in Western astrology. Which is the house where we are meant to experiment the greatest expansion, and where we encounter plenitude when we get into other territories. So on a very practical level, this moon can also be a moon about travel and moving around, like physically traveling. And it's ruled by Jupiter. I'm telling you all of this because we're going to be using all that information a bit later. It's ruled by Jupiter, also called the Great Benevolent, which is the planet of happiness, joy, the joy of living, the joy of, walking your path and doing what you do in life. Yeah, so this is the basic information about Sagittarius. Now let's look at the chart. So we have the first, let's say, major geometry that we have forming in the sky is a grand square in mutable signs, which signals a point of inflection and a time of choices. This grand square, which is like literally planets forming a square, really points in the direction of embodying the I amness, the I am. We have the sun in Gemini. Consciousness and spirit is in the sign of the I am, the duality of the body and the spirit, Gemini. We spoke about that at the last moon cycle, in the new moon in Gemini, with Castor and Pollux. And the moon in Sagittarius in its opposite point in the zodiac, in the sign of expansion, transcendence, wisdom, truth. And both are squaring the nodal axis in Pisces and Virgo, from oneness, Pisces, to complete embodiment on Earth, Virgo. The axis, this is the axis where the masters meet in Vesak, which was the full moon of the last month. And this talks to us about seeing that axis from the most divine or the oneness to complete embodiment and apparent separation, it speaks to us about seeing that axis as a full spectrum of possibilities, from the synthesis of unity in Pisces to the very analytical mind and, separative mind of Virgo. So it draws our attention to all the gradients between heaven and earth, from source to body, from the higher self to the incarnated self. And in between are, in certain traditions, it's all the different skies, it's all the different dimensions, all the different levels of guidance, and all the different hierarchies, celestial hierarchies, and ultimately all the different aspects of ourselves, which are all present and all existent, only we are more or less aware of them. So this grand square is about choosing what to do with this axis. And one of the choices we have is the choice of remembering that we are all of that we are that oneness as much as we are the body, that we are not just the body, actually, and choosing to expand towards the wisdom that comes from transcending our physical existence into those higher dimensions, higher realms, higher levels of consciousness, and recognizing all the spectrum of possibilities that it opens to us. It's really seeing it like a ladder, or like with all the rainbow of possibilities of hierarchies of intelligences. In certain traditions, that it is called, each level is called an intelligence, but it's about that, really. And if there's one sign that speaks really, really well about transcendence, it's really Sagittarius. It's the one that nourishes its path with all the experience. It's very spiritual path with all the experiences acquired in the embodiment, in the incarnation. So, in essence, we are faced with the choice of what do we do with our experience? Do we use that to elevate ourselves and expand our consciousness and expand our wisdom and reach the spirit through that? Or do we forget about those dimensions within us and just see what our eyes can perceive? It is always a choice. That's very important to have in mind. But for sure, what the energies are presenting us with is a great opportunity to connect to that remembrance and to expand in that direction of remembering the faces of our divinity or our divine aspects. Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, is in Cancer. It's actually entering Cancer tomorrow, but by the time the moon is full, it will be in Cancer at the very first degree, actually 0 and a few minutes of Cancer. And it's opposing the full moon. And just so you know, Jupiter is entering Cancer for 12 months. It was in Gemini for the last 12 months, and now it's going to stay in Cancer for another year. So what's happening is that Jupiter, that rules Sagittarius, is in Cancer, and the moon that rules Cancer is in Sagittarius. So there's a nice opposition and a nice exchange of energies in those two signs. And Jupiter is very, very happy in Cancer. So it kind of gives even more of its benevolence and of its joy and its all the attributes that it nourishes Sagittarius that are particularly expanded in Cancer. Cancer is the sign of the family, of our clan, whether it's our family, our blood family, or our chosen family, our friends or our family that we vibrate with or that we choose for ourselves. But it also can be it's the intimate space. So it can be our interiority. When you look at Cancer, it's the crab. So it's what's within that shell, what's within that boundary, where there's the others and there's the ones that are inside. So it can also be what's really intimate in me and what is not, what I share with others, and what I'm less protective about, really. So this is really asking us or pointing us towards the expansion within, seeking that interdimensionality inside of us, that truth and that wisdom that is carried in Sagittarius and by Jupiter, to search for that inside of us. Also, Cancer is the body aspect of water, and it has the attribute of healing. It has that sense where healing can happen. It opens that possibility, at least in the way it is activated by Jupiter. So it's the full spectrum that can go from taking care of ourselves, like our body, how we nurture ourselves and nourish ourselves, but it can also go how we nourish ourselves and take care about ourselves emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It's also about who do we surround ourselves with? Who is our family? Where and with whom do I feel safe, nurtured, and protected? So it can bring those things within us. It can also bring healing in the families if there is issues or conflicts that need to be resolved. So it brings that as well with the really super benevolent aspect of Jupiter. It can bring that. And that dimension of healing is reverberating elsewhere with Chiron, that is also aspecting the moon, and we'll see that in a moment. But it's an information that is echoing through other planets. So I really think there's something very nice and healing, and like holding something very close and making sure it's okay, everything will be fine. And also repairing wounds, really. That is what it's all about. Whether it can be past life wounds, it can be wounds that were like we experienced physically in this incarnation. It can be things that the family bloodline carries. So this is a very nice and very opportune moment to look at that. The other important aspect that Jupiter is forming is a square, which is a tense aspect with Saturn and Jupiter, who are at the beginning of Aries. It's not because it's tense that it's bad, but it's like it's a strong connection. That's what it means, rather than negative or anything. So this is what this is telling us, is that this is also the time to get organized in a very practical way and to put structures that will help us nourish ourselves and create the environment that will be nurturing for us to nourish our dreams. That intimacy is also about our dreams. What is it that deep inside is very important to us and that is very essential, that is defining our deepest essence. So Jupiter, Neptune, and Saturn at the beginning of Aries are really pushing towards that. They're really demanding to do the things that are necessary to bring the dream come true and to really put the structure that is needed. Those two planets will go back into Pisces. in autumn. And then we will come back finally into Aries. So this is a good time to try stuff. What are the things that I can put in place, I can change in my life, I can organize to nurture myself, to make sure I have like what I need to be nourished, that I have my family, um, as I said earlier, the chosen or the blood family. How do I make sure that I have them where I need them to be? So all of these, this is the time to start working on these structures, right? We will revise them towards the end of the year to finally put them in place for good in the new year, into 2026. So there is that, but there's also how asking ourselves the question, how am I supporting the discovery and the exploration of my multidimensionality within? This is the big theme of this moon, our multidimensional aspect, and how that is steps towards reuniting with the spirit in a certain way. So yeah, so it's really what is it that I am doing or not doing or that I need to do to support that, to keep on that path and to keep into that path of expansion of my perception of who I am, because ultimately this is what it is about. What else? So really, this expansion is really to be looked at as an exploration towards the inside. The outside is a way to help us understand how it works. But the true path is inside. The inner earth is here. As much as it can be physically embodied, that's perfectly possible, and there are more and more scientific discoveries that tend to support that. But we won't be able to access one without the other, and the one that needs to come first is the one that we have within. So that is one of the key things that we need to do. Provide the structure for us to do that. The next very important geometry that we have in the sky is a grand trine. It's a big triangle that is in the signs of fire, of which Sagittarius is. So we have Chiron in Aries, so echoing the healing part of Jupiter in Cancer, Mars in Leo, and the moon in Sagittarius, obviously. And so Chiron is the one that is pointing at the wounds in our I am. So the mantra for Aries is I am. It's essentially pointing at our inner authority. It's I am. It's also my ability to deploy the energy to start. It's my will. Here we are definitely dealing with the trinity of will, love, and wisdom. This is a very important, let's say, piece of information that is super active in this one. So this trine is taking us from the I am, transcend our wounds, that we have in our ability to stand in our Earth-sky axis. It's taking us to Leo to remember our sovereignty, I can. To remember our connection with the heart. To remember the light that lies within, deep inside, that flame that radiates illuminates our thoughts, our heart, and shines outwards to guide others when it's in balance. And that's the love. And that's what happens in Leo. And it's ending in Sagittarius, where it's inviting us to use our experience through those stages of fire, to use our experience, our achievements, everything that we did, including the experience of our wounds, and to use that to grow, to transcend, to become wiser. Sagittarius is a sign of wisdom. And it's in Sagittarius that we connect with our multidimensionality. That's one of the aspects of wisdom, where the masters guide us, where the angels and archangels provide their help. It's in that process of expansion. And finally, we have a very, very interesting fixed star that is conjunct with the sun in Gemini. And this star is Bellatrix. Bellatrix is in the constellation of Orion, and it's at 20 degrees and something of, I think it's 20 degrees and 58, I think, of Gemini, which is literally in the same degree as the sun during this full moon. And interestingly enough, Bellatrix is a star that asks us to be quicker and to focus within. I'll break that down. To be quicker means to think faster, to act faster, to go faster in our lives, to not waste time in doubts, internal dialogues, and to stop being scattered, losing our energy in too many options without decisiveness. And the way to do that is to listen to our inner voice, is to listen to our higher self, or the divine within, or God within, however you want to name it. That's how we get that immediate clarity. So this is the great invitation and push that we get from Bellatrix. It's also provides a bridge to cross from one step in our quest to the next. If you see the Earth sky distance, just to have a visualization as covered by a ladder, then Bellatrix helps us go from one step of the ladder to the next. And that's our spiritual path. And this is what it helps us do. And what it says to us is that if we manage to tame our ego, I don't use that word very often because it has so many ways to be understood, and some of them are very negative. But what I mean by that is if we manage to connect or balance or recognize the divine will in our human will or personal will, and manage to align that, then it gives us the possibility to connect with our cosmic brothers. And I think this is a very, very it's a very present, like it's an information that is very present in this moon through many, many little signs, that this multidimensionality that we are being presented with and asked to connect with, it bears that information of other forms of life that we could have access to, or that we can open to receive or to have contact with or to connect with. So it's not just the divine hierarchies, it's also beings that exist in other frequencies. For example, the oracle that I use, the Oracle of Inner Earth, these beings, it includes the Pleiadians and other star beings. These beings exist on other frequencies. And when we take the lesson of this full moon and we open to that multidimensionality, it also opens to us to those other frequencies, right? Interestingly enough, today, a new crop circle appeared in Avebury in England, and it's a 10-pointed star, which symbolizes the completion of the it symbolizes the perfection or the completion of the path towards the spirit, rather. Yeah, I think it's better said that way. So once again, it's very, very in the space and in the vibration that this full moon is bringing in a few days. So I want to say, keep your mind open and keep your heart open more than anything else to maybe inspirations that we don't know where they're coming from, or from, unusual, let's say, unusual illuminations. I can't find the exact word, but it's unusual, or yeah, it's like something opens up and lights up in your head or in your heart, and it's like, oh. So I think it's a great time for that. So that's it for the information of today. This is the time to expand into our inner world. So go to your inner earth and explore all the possibilities that we have within, and to get in touch with our own wisdom. That's really, really key. This is also the time to move away and transcend all the wounds. So if there are things that you still feel are keeping you holding you back, that's the word, then this is the time to become the alchemist and alchemize that and transcend it so that you can move on to the next level. This is a time to act as well. As I was saying about the structures, this is a time to do things. There is the connection within and the inner work, but there's also the actual physical work that really needs to be happening. Bellatrix reinforces that into acting fast, like we need to do the things, and it's going to accelerate. So it's time to get going. And it's just like, don't waste time doubting, just act. And it's better to act and rewind than spend a lot of time thinking. We had the time of thinking and then reevaluating and working through things that was a long time ago. I want to say last year, which feels like a long time ago. But now this is the time to put into practice, build. And we do have times for trial and error. All these planets that go forward and then go back, then they give us the opportunity to reevaluate. But the key thing is to get going, just to do the things. Now, let's ask the people of Inner Earth, talking about Inner Earth, what other advice they have for us today. You just need one card, not too many. Otherwise, I'm just gonna pull one. What do you think? One last time and I'll... Okay, we pulled it for us. Okay, we got the ancient Mayas, nature. Let's see what that means and what's behind this message. Okay. The nature, the voice of the cosmos, speaks through the entire creation. The light and the breath of life find their resonance in all the elements of nature and the way they are organized. You have recently manifested the desire to deepen your connection to the subtle world. And this is the message that we came to bring. By connecting more to nature, to its teachings, to its divine presence, you are getting closer to your true nature and to all the potential that you have that is still to be awakened. Don't look for the secrets of the universe in constructions that are too far from the original art. The laws of life are all in nature. That is its most beautiful representation. What you seek to know, nature expresses it every day. Deepen your link. The key for ascension is deepen your link with nature to deepen your knowledge of the self and your hidden talents. So looking at the drawing is like an invitation to really be in nature physically, you know? Thank you. Okay, let's get ready for the meditation. Sit comfortably. Remember your glass of water and a pen and paper if you don't already have yours next to you. And sit comfortably, preferably with your spine vertical. And take 3 deep breaths. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. One more time, take a deep breath in. Maybe hold your breath for a second or two. And exhale through the mouth. The last drop of air. And one last time, take a deep breath in. And with the exhale, release any tension, any thoughts, any emotions that might burden this moment and occupy space that is not needed right now. And come back to normal breathing. Check your posture. Spine straight. Align your neck and your head. Imagine a thread lifting your head and elongating your spine very gently. towards the sky. And check any tensions in your lower belly. Relax. Allow the breath to reach your abdomen. Check your arms and relax. Check for any tension in your shoulders and relax. Check your face and relax. Come back to normal breathing, observing the breath that comes in and the breath that comes out. Always through the nose, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Sitting completely still with only the movement of your chest and abdomen, mirroring the movement of breath. And allow yourself to be carried away by that breath, placing your entire focus on the inhale and the exhale. Maybe placing your attention at the entrance of your nostrils or on your abdomen, watching the flow of air coming in, coming out, or your belly expanding, coming down with each inhale and exhale. As you enter that space of stillness, of harmony that the breath brings, I would like you to imagine yourself in a shell, surrounded by a shape like an egg around you, a membrane of light, of transparent, solid light. Feel it forming a cocoon, protective and nurturing, while it allows you to see everything around you. And in that shell, you start moving upwards, going up, above the room where you are, above the house or the building where you find yourself in, traveling upwards even further, above the area, the city, and even your country. And you keep moving up smoothly and gently across the atmosphere, reaching up, traveling into the cosmos, crossing the membrane around Earth, going upwards, upwards, upwards. You keep rising until you find yourself completely surrounded by galaxies, stars, constellations, until you reach a point where you feel that the stars around you have a sort of organization in a way that you recognize that order. And as you stop and look around, you recognize the 12 constellations of the zodiac all around you in a circle, forming like a crown above your head. Take the time to look around me and acknowledge each constellation one by one. And something in me understands that all 12 constellations are dimensions of my being. And I set the intention to balance and integrate them in me. I stand in the center and explore the duality that each constellation has, its attributes, and the challenges it offers me as opportunities and potential for growth. As gifts to nourish my Sagittarian expansion. Aries, I am. I see the will and courage that ignites the divine spark into new beginnings. Now ask myself, where has the flame of the spirit become the fire of war and domination? Taurus, I have. I recognize the master of abundance that teaches how to receive, how to connect with earth, how to listen with all the senses, how to ground, how to build beauty in matter, and ask myself, where has the patience and sensitivity of Taurus become stagnation, attachment, and excessive sensuality? Gemini, I think. I recognize the quick mind, the curiosity, the communication skill, and adaptability. And I ask myself, where has I fallen into doubt, maybe lies, dispersion, and disconnection from my true self? And I continue with Cancer. I feel, I recognize its attribute of nurturing, its sensitivity, and the ancestral memories it holds. But I ask myself, where has my sense of care turned into fear of loss and emotional attachment? I turn to Leo. I can. I recognize its sense of joy, its ability to love, to shine, and to honor the divine within as foundations of its empowerment and sovereignty, its ability to lead others. And I ask myself, where has my leadership become pride and desire for attention? And I turn to Virgo. I analyze. I see the harmony, the sense of, I see the detailed mind, the sense of service, the sense of order that it awakens in me. And I ask myself, where has my discernment become worry, rigidity, or immobility? And I turn to Libra, the one that holds dear harmony, justice, beauty, and ask myself, where has the desire for balance and equilibrium become a tendency to please people? Where has it led me to lose my independence and lose myself even? And I turn to Scorpio. I desire, and I recognize the alchemist in me, my ability to recreate myself constantly and to transmute, and ask myself, where has my intimacy with shadow become abuse of power, become secrecy and out of control impulses? And I turn to Sagittarius. I see, I recognize the generous, altruistic aspects of myself. I recognize the desire and urge to seek truth, the part of me that holds the vision of my path and the wisdom it yields. And ask myself, where has my quest become dogma? When and where have I been focusing on the destination instead of the path? And I look to Capricorn. I use and I recognize the master in me, the guardian of sacred law, the builder, the master of karma, the one that holds the structure of reality. and the discipline to create it. And ask myself, what am I ready to dedicate myself to? And where has my sense of responsibility isolated me from my own heart and from others? And I turn to Aquarius. I know. I see the visionary in me, the one who understands freedom, who understands how to be free while being part of the collective. And I ask myself, where and when has my sense of freedom turned into isolation from others? Or when my vision into the future has made me a rebel or marginalized me? And I finally turn to Pisces. I believe. I recognize that this is the place where I am one with the infinite, the place that holds my sense of compassion and surrender. But where has the recognition of the infinite become confusion, illusion, and escapism? I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. From the point where I am, I get closer and extend my hands to each constellation, each master, each archetype that is before me, to receive the gift that they have for me today. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. I come back to the center with 12 gifts and understand that I have seen all the 12 dimensions of myself. That these dimensions are aspects of me that the star beautifully embody as the external manifestations of the information that I hold within. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I recognize that the steps between heaven and earth are dimensions of my being that I go through as I transcend my experiences. In my inner temple, the flame of wisdom shines, lighting up my path, radiating, warming me up and those around me as I recognize its presence. I see, I know, I am. And I activate with my voice. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Gently, I come back here and now, recognizing my physical presence in this moment, in this place. I can reconnect with my body through touch, massaging my body, feet, legs, torso, and feeling that information into my physical body. And when I'm ready, open my eyes. Thank you very much for being here once again. I wish you a beautiful full moon in Sagittarius, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye for now.